Retirement is supposed to be the moment when life finally slows down, when the world becomes quiet enough for you to actually hear your own thoughts again. But for many introverted retirees, that quiet doesn't always feel peaceful at first. It can feel unfamiliar. It can feel like a space you've earned but haven't yet learned how to live inside. And that's what this video is all about. What it really feels like to retire as an introvert. The relief, the challenges, the surprising strengths. The things nobody talks about because most retirement advice assumes everyone wants to be social, busy, and surrounded by people all the time. But that's simply not true. Many retirees don't want a calendar filled with events. They don't want constant phone calls. They don't want to join every club, volunteer group, or social circle. They want something simpler, something calmer. They want to live life at their own rhythm. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, being an introvert in retirement can be one of the biggest advantages you have, if you learn how to use it. Because unlike people who depend on constant stimulation, introverts thrive when the noise fades. They recharge in solitude. They think deeply. They enjoy meaning over volume. And retirement can become the first time in life when those tendencies stop being misunderstood and finally become a source of strength. But here's the truth nobody says out loud. Retirement changes your social world whether you're introverted or not. You leave routines. You leave people. You leave a structure that made your days predictable. And for introverts, this can feel both liberating and destabilizing at the same time. You gain freedom, but you also face quietness that doesn't have instructions. It's not the same quiet you choose in the middle of a busy life. It's a quiet that appears every morning whether you like it or not.
And at first, that can feel strange. Many introverted retirees talk about feeling guilty for enjoying solitude. They feel pressure to be more social now that they're retired. They hear the same advice over and over again. Join this group, talk to these people, get out more, be more active. And while staying active is healthy, not every activity needs to involve people. Not every moment needs to be shared. And not every hour needs to be filled with conversation. Some of the happiest retirees in the world live quietly, slowly, calmly. They wake up with their own thoughts, not with noise. They do things because they want to, not because they're expected to. They build a life that fits their personality instead of forcing their personality to fit someone else's idea of retirement. But the real question, the one this video will explore, is how to shape retirement into something fulfilling when you aren't naturally outgoing. Because being introverted doesn't mean being isolated. It doesn't mean being lonely, and it doesn't mean missing out on opportunities. It simply means you interact with the world differently. You enjoy connection in deeper, smaller doses. You need rest from social energy. You think before you speak. You observe before you act. And retirement gives you the freedom to structure your life around those strengths. So let's talk about the realities that introverted retirees rarely share. The experience of stepping into a world with fewer expectations. The experience of discovering what actually matters to you when the pressure to socialize disappears. The experience of building a peaceful, meaningful retirement that feels authentic, not forced. Because if retirement is a new chapter, then introverts get to write it with more clarity than most. Less noise, more intention. Less pressure, more comfort. And in this script, we're going to explore how. But first, let's start with one of the biggest challenges introverted retirees face, the mental shift from structured social interaction to voluntary social interaction. It's one thing to be introverted while working. Your job gives you built-in routines, built-in people, built-in reasons to talk. You don't have to seek social interaction. It comes to you. Even introverts interact socially every day because their work environment makes it unavoidable. But retirement flips that completely. Suddenly, nobody is expecting you at the office. Nobody is waiting for your decisions. Nobody's walking past your desk. And it's in this moment, this sudden shift, that many introverts realize how much social structure work actually provided, even if they didn't always enjoy it. The problem isn't that introverts dislike people. The problem is that retirement removes the natural flow of interaction, leaving them unsure of how much connection they really want, or how to get it without draining themselves. Many introverted retirees find themselves thinking, I don't want to be around people all day, but I also don't want to disappear completely. And that balance takes time to figure out. The good news? Introverts are naturally better at building a stable, low-stress retirement life because they don't rely on constant external stimulation. The challenge is simply learning how to shape that life intentionally instead of accidentally drifting into isolation. And that's where we begin. One of the biggest turning points for introverted retirees happens when they finally understand that solitude is not the same as loneliness. Solitude is chosen. Loneliness is not. Solitude fuels your energy. Loneliness drains it. And then retirement, the line between these two can blur if you don't learn how to manage it intentionally, because too much solitude, even for an introvert, can slowly turn into emotional distance, and too much social pressure can slowly turn into stress. The goal is not to avoid people forever. The goal is to design your days in a way that protects your peace while still giving you enough connection to feel human. And this balance looks different for every introverted retiree. Some need quiet mornings and calm evenings with only small moments of social interaction in between. Others enjoy a few meaningful friendships but prefer long breaks in between social plans. Some enjoy being around people but not engaging in long conversations. And many introverts simply enjoy being with others in a quiet environment without the pressure to talk nonstop. The beauty of retirement is that you finally get to choose your pace. And this is where life becomes interesting. Because when introverts step into retirement, they often rediscover parts of themselves they didn't have time for before. They reconnect with old hobbies that didn't fit into a busy work schedule. They become curious again. They read more, think more, create more, notice more. And in this quiet space, they find meaning in things that louder lifestyles often overlook.
Introverted retirees tend to build depth instead of busyness. They find joy in simplicity, a morning routine, a quiet walk, a peaceful cup of coffee, a book they've been meaning to finish, a project they put aside for years. These moments become the anchors of their new life. And with time, these small routines create emotional stability that many outgoing retirees struggle to build. But even with all these strengths, there's still a hidden pressure introverted retirees face. The pressure to explain themselves. People assume retirement must be social. They assume it must look like gatherings, events, group activities, constant visits. But introverts often enjoy retirement most when it doesn't look like any of that. And expressing this preference sometimes brings judgment from others who don't understand introversion. You might hear things like, "You need to get out more. Why don't you join this group?" Or, "Aren't you lonely staying home so much?" And while these questions usually come from good intentions, they misunderstand what introverts need to feel fulfilled. Introverts feel fulfilled when their inner world is calm, when their environment is predictable, when conversations are meaningful, not constant, when they can be alone without feeling guilty. And retirement gives them the freedom to finally shape that inner world without interference. However, that doesn't mean introverts should shut off the outside world entirely, because even introverts need connection, just in smaller amounts and in more intentional ways. And when you find the right balance, retirement becomes one of the most emotionally rewarding chapters of life. This is where many introverts discover the surprising power of selective socializing. This means choosing the people who energize you instead of draining you.
It means spending time with people who respect quietness, people who don't expect you to perform socially, people who enjoy your presence without needing constant entertainment. These relationships are rare, but they become incredibly meaningful in retirement. Selective socializing helps introverts avoid burnout, while still protecting them from isolation. It replaces large social circles with a small, dependable group. It replaces surface-level conversations with deeper connections. It replaces constant events with occasional, purposeful moments that feel genuine.
And here's something that might surprise you. Introverted retirees often form stronger bonds than outgoing retirees. Because when introverts invest in people, they invest deeply. They listen better. They understand more. They notice feelings others miss. And this makes them incredibly valuable friends, just not the loud, always available type. Another major advantage introverted retirees have is emotional independence. Many outgoing retirees struggle when their social networks shrink, or when friends move, or when routines change. But introverts are naturally skilled at spending time alone without feeling lost. They're not afraid of quiet days. They're not scared of slow routines. They're fully capable of creating a fulfilling life without needing constant interaction. But this strength can also become a risk if it goes unmanaged, because independence can slide into complete isolation if you don't stay mindful. The key to a fulfilling retired life is simple. Stay connected enough to feel alive, but stay independent enough to feel peaceful. That balance is the heart of the introverted retirement experience. And once introverts understand this balance, a new phase begins. The phase where they start building a retirement lifestyle that matches their personality instead of fighting against it. They stop apologizing for wanting quiet. They stop feeling guilty for skipping social events. They stop comparing themselves to more outgoing people. They begin embracing who they truly are without shame. This shift is what transforms retirement into freedom. And once that freedom sets in, introverts become unstoppable in crafting a life that feels deeply authentic. One of the most empowering realizations introverted retirees experience is discovering that the best parts of retirement are often found in the moments nobody else sees. The quiet routines that make your mornings peaceful. The small hobbies that bring your mind alive. The simple pleasures that feel richer now because you finally have time to enjoy them without rushing. For introverts, retirement isn't about filling time. It's about slowing down enough to actually live. And this is where the entire lifestyle transforms. Because once the external noise disappears, inner clarity grows. The things you truly care about rise to the surface. The things that never mattered fall away. And what remains is the beginning of a life shaped by intention instead of obligation.
Introverted retirees often find themselves reconnecting with old passions they abandoned for years. Art, music, reading, journaling, gardening, puzzles, crafting, creative projects. Things that never fit into a busy work life suddenly become sources of joy again. These hobbies aren't distractions. They're nourishment for the introverted mind. They bring focus, calmness, and a sense of purpose that doesn't rely on other people. And purpose is something every retiree needs, introverted or not. Without purpose, the days blend together. The mind loses stimulation, the heart loses direction. And even introverts, who love solitude, need a reason to get out of bed. That reason doesn't need to be loud or social or busy. It just needs to feel meaningful to you. For some introverted seniors, purpose comes from learning. They become fascinated by new skills, languages, technology, storytelling, history, photography. For others, purpose comes from creating. They build things, design things, write things, or restore things. And for many introverts, purpose comes from small daily rituals that make life feel steady. Watering plants, organizing the home, taking slow walks, practicing mindfulness, or simply enjoying a quiet cup of tea. Purpose doesn't have to be big. It just has to be consistent. And introverts excel at consistency because their energy isn't scattered across 1,000 social commitments. Their focus is stronger. Their attention is deeper. And in retirement, this becomes a secret advantage. Another unique strength introverts bring into retirement is the ability to enjoy their own company. While many retirees panic when the social structure of work disappears, introverts adapt more easily. They understand themselves. They know how to spend time alone without feeling empty, and this makes their emotional world far more stable. But even with this strength, introverts must still protect themselves from drifting too far inward, because enjoyable solitude can slowly turn into quiet isolation if you aren't careful. The danger isn't being alone, it's forgetting to stay engaged with the world in small, healthy ways. And this doesn't mean joining every club or forcing extroverted habits. It simply means staying open, staying curious, staying connected in ways that feel natural. For introverts, connection doesn't always require conversation. Sometimes it's enough to sit in a cafe and enjoy the atmosphere. Take a walk in a park surrounded by people. Attend a class where talking is minimal. Join a small group focused on a shared hobby. Volunteer for quiet tasks that matter but don't require social performance. These light-touch interactions help introverts stay grounded without overwhelming their energy.
The secret is choosing environments that don't drain you. Environments where you can be present without pressure. Environments where being quiet is not only accepted, but appreciated. And as introverted retirees build routines around these environments, something beautiful happens. Life becomes gentle again. Not empty, not lonely. Gentle, calm, balanced. And with this balance, emotional health improves. Stress fades. Anxiety softens. The mind becomes clearer, and the days feel lighter. But the most powerful shift happens internally, because introverts begin rediscovering their identity outside of who they were at work. Retirement gives them space to ask questions they never had time to explore. What truly makes me happy? What kind of life feels natural to me? What kind of peace have I been missing for years? What matters now that time feels slower? Work often forces introverts to bend, stretch, and act louder than they feel. Retirement lets them unbend. It lets them breathe. It lets them return to the version of themselves they might have lost along the way. And for many introverts, this return is one of the greatest gifts retirement has to offer. Because retirement isn't just an ending, it's an unveiling, a rediscovery, a slow remembering of who you were before responsibilities piled up. And introverts, more than anyone, feel this shift deeply. They feel the inner space expanding. They feel life becoming more manageable. They feel themselves becoming more authentic, more grounded, more genuinely at peace. And the truth is, introverts are often the happiest retirees of all, not because they avoid people, but because they understand themselves well enough to build a life that actually fits who they are. Retirement brings a level of quiet that most people don't expect, but for introverts, that quiet becomes the doorway to a more authentic life. In this video, we explored how stepping away from constant schedules and social pressure allows introverted retirees to reconnect with themselves, rediscover old passions, and create routines that feel meaningful and peaceful. Retirement isn't about filling every hour. It's about finally having the freedom to live at your own pace. We also talked about the hidden strengths introverts bring into this chapter, the ability to enjoy their own company, the talent for deep thinking, and the natural skill of building purposeful, low-stress routines. While others may chase busy calendars, introverted retirees thrive by choosing selective social connections, protecting their energy, and finding fulfillment in simplicity. This balance between solitude and connection is what transforms retirement from a transition into a truly powerful new beginning.
If you found this video helpful or comforting, I'd really appreciate your support. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more retirement insights, and share it with someone who might need it. Your engagement helps us reach more people who deserve a calmer, more fulfilling retirement.